Here are 10 hacks for number cakes. You don't need to buy special molds or baking pans for these. Just cut a piece of paper so it's the same size as the cake you've baked and draw your number onto that piece of paper. Place it on your cake, cut around it with a serrated knife like a bread knife, and depending on the size of the number cake that you want to make, you might choose to cut out one number from each cake, or fold the piece of paper in half when you're drawing your number, and then trace that onto the cake twice, so that you get 2 layers out of each cake. Second hack. Attach your cake onto your cake board using at least 2 dots of buttercream frosting, which acts like glue to attach the cake and hold it in place. This way it won't slip and slide when you're moving it around if your cake does crack or even break apart as you're lowering it onto the cake board. That buttercream glue will attach it back together, and you'll never know that it had broken. If you want to vary the colours of your filling, for example for a rainbow, mark out the sections onto your cake by scoring them with a knife before you start piping, and that way you'll make sure that each colour of piping is spaced equally on the cake. It's easiest to work with cold cakes because they're firmer and less likely to break than at room temperature. I like to wrap cakes in cling film or saran wrap and leave them in the fridge for an hour or overnight. Then you can lift them to move them onto a cake board or layer them with fillings. If your number has a hole in it, for example a number 4 or a 6, the easiest way to decorate this cake is to leave that hole intact and instead pipe or spread a different colour of frosting over that area so that it's clear it's not part of your number. This way the shape will be recognisable, but you'll save time carving and you won't have to frost any tricky areas of cake. If you struggle to get smooth frosting on your cakes, bad news, it's even trickier on a number cake, and I'll give you tips for this later, but for now, a quick hack to avoid smooth frosting is to use chocolate to cover your cake instead. Cover the cake in a crumb coat first, which is just a very thin layer of frosting that doesn't need to be perfectly neat, and this will make it easier to attach the chocolate next. Melt chocolate chips, cut strips of baking paper or parchment paper so that they're as tall as the cake, and pour the melted chocolate on top, spreading it all over to cover up the paper completely. Then slide your hands underneath the paper, lift it up, and press it against the sides of your cake. Pinch any corners to make sure there's a sharp angle there, and you can use a cake comb to press the paper against the cake to attach the chocolate. Then put the cake into the fridge for about 30 minutes before peeling the paper off. You can top this cake with berries or candy or chocolate or flowers or whatever you like. Hack number 8. The easiest way to decorate number cakes or any cakes with a theme is to use figures or toys, rather than trying to make these decorations out of chocolate or fondant. For a racetrack cake, use some toy cars. They're the perfect size, and after you've washed and dried them, they're perfectly safe to put on top of a cake. Okay, smooth frosting. This is the trickiest way to decorate a number cake, and for the best results, it's really important to chill your cake before you start. Cold cake gets much firmer and less crumbly than room temperature cake, which means chunks won't break off when you spread on the frosting, and you'll get much fewer crumbs in your frosting. Like with all cakes, it's a good idea to start with a crumb coat, which is a very thin layer to trap any crumbs that do come off the cake, and then chill this to let it set, which takes about 30 minutes in the fridge. Then pipe or spread another layer of frosting on top. If there are any holes in your number, I really recommend starting with those areas because they're the trickiest. And you can do this with any cake decorating technique that you would do on a round cake. This one is going to be a watercolour design. I like to do the top of the cake next to get that nice and smooth, and then the sides, making sure that the frosting sticks up a little bit above the top edge of the cake, which will get you nice sharp angles later. You can use the side of your offset spatula to smooth the frosting or a cake comb. Make sure you wipe the blade after every swipe so that it's clean when you do the next one, and that way you won't drag any excess buttercream onto your top edge. Final hack. If you want to add any sort of toppers onto your cake, like chocolates or candies or flowers or sprinkles, the best time to do this is immediately after piping or spreading your frosting onto the cake. While the frosting is still soft and sticky, anything will attach to it. But if you wait anywhere between 10 and 30 minutes, the frosting will set, and if you push any toppers onto the frosting, they can cause the frosting to crack. I hope this has been useful, and now you have lots of tips to confidently make a number cake. Please click the subscribe button and check out my cake school on BritishGirlBakes.com. Thanks for watching.